Guyana will accept its people if deported from the U.S., Jagdeo. Newsroom. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has stated that Guyana will welcome its citizens if they face deportation from the United States due to new immigration policies. Speaking at a press conference for the People's Progressive Party Civic, PPP/C, he emphasized the importance of supporting Guyanese nationals. Jagdeo remarked, "We believe that if our country can absorb people who come from Venezuela, most are Guyanese, and there are non-Guyanese too. If we can absorb them and they are working here and living decently, why shouldn't we do it for our own people?" He reiterated that citizens verified to be Guyanese would be accepted back into the country, asserting, "These are our own people. Once they're Guyanese and they're verified to be Guyanese, then you have to take your people back." The topic of potential mass deportations from the U.S. has gained traction following President Donald Trump's recent executive order aimed at revoking birthright citizenship for children born in the states to individuals with unlawful or temporary status. Jagdeo clarified, however, that Guyana would not accept citizens of other countries being deported to its territory. His comments reflect a commitment to supporting Guyanese nationals in light of shifting immigration policies in the U.S. Sports journalist Rawle Welch loses home in kitty fire. News source Guyana. Longtime sports journalist Rawle Welch suffered a devastating loss this afternoon when his home on William Street, Kitty, was engulfed in flames. The Guyana Fire Service received multiple calls about the fire shortly before 4 p.m. and quickly responded to the scene. A neighbor reported hearing a loud noise and noticing flickering lights before the house was fully ablaze. The partly wooden structure was consumed by flames within minutes. The fire threatened a nearby residence, home to national boxer Kevin Allicock, but firefighters managed to contain the blaze, limiting damage to just a section of that house. A visibly distraught Welch recounted the events leading up to the fire, stating he had just left to pick up his son when he received alarming news. "I just left the house to go and collect my son from work, and I got a call from my sister telling me that there was smoke coming from my street. So I couldn't believe there was anything untoward," he explained. He described the moment he learned his home was on fire. "I thought it couldn't be my home because I just left and had left my wife downstairs in the yard and my big son upstairs. But then my friend and my sister called me back and said it was my home." Welch shared that his wife suffered minor burns to her forehead and hands, but, thankfully, the family is safe. "We lost everything," he lamented, emphasizing the challenge ahead for his family to rebuild their lives. The Guyana Fire Service is currently conducting a full investigation into the cause of the fire. Hughes convinced GECOM is currently incapable of hosting national elections. News source Guyana. Following a meeting between the Alliance for Change, AFC, and the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, AFC leader Nigel Hughes expressed his strong belief that GECOM is currently incapable of hosting national elections. Describing the meeting as absolutely disastrous from GECOM's perspective, Hughes stated, "We are now more than convinced that GECOM is incapable of holding national elections." He characterized the situation as unbelievable and indicated that he would provide further details during an evening press conference. In contrast, Deputy Chief Election Officer Aniel Giddings, who was present at the meeting, did not share Hughes's assessment. He refrained from discussing specifics from the 3-hour meeting but described it as productive. "It was not a disastrous meeting," Giddings insisted, emphasizing that the discussions were constructive. GECOM Commissioner SASE Gun Raj also commented on the meeting, noting that it was normal and addressed several issues raised by the AFC. He acknowledged that the AFC appeared to enter the meeting with a predetermined lack of confidence in GECOM, stating, "It is clear that the intent of today's meeting was to act as such. GECOM can only do its best to ensure public confidence." The AFC has been vocal about various concerns regarding GECOM's preparedness for the upcoming elections, scheduled for later this year. This meeting marked the first engagement between GECOM and the AFC since Hughes assumed leadership of the party. As the political landscape evolves, the readiness of GECOM to conduct fair and efficient elections remains a critical topic of discussion. Jagdeo supports GECOM chairman's decision against biometrics for upcoming elections. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo has expressed his full support for the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, who recently decided against implementing biometrics for the 2025 general and regional elections. The GECOM chair stated that introducing biometrics would be unconstitutional, as it would impose an additional mandatory requirement on voters. Jagdeo affirmed that the chair's decision aligns with the Constitution, emphasizing the importance of preserving the right to vote. They are vilifying the chairman of the Elections Commission, saying she supports the PPP. What she has been is consistent in her rulings. She has to preserve the right to vote and act in a constitutional manner, Jagdeo remarked. He noted that any opposition to this ruling primarily comes from the APNU and AFC. Although the GECOM chair indicated that while a fingerprint system could be implemented, it would not be feasible for the upcoming elections. Jagdeo criticized the opposition's calls for biometrics, suggesting they aim to create a pretext for disputing the election results. It's not about biometrics or no biometrics. It is what they want to use it for. They want to use it for an unconstitutional purpose, which is to prevent people from voting. For example, if you show up at the polling station and there is some glitch in the system, then you lose your right to vote, he explained. Jagdeo added that while biometrics could serve as a verification tool, it should not be the definitive method for voting. He raised concerns about potential confusion at polling places, arguing that allowing presiding officers to decide voter eligibility based on biometric verification could lead to bias and unfair practices. Imagine the amount of confusion you would have at polling places. You cannot have 2,500 presiding officers deciding who has the right to vote. The Constitution confers that right on us, he stated. With elections anticipated to occur before November of this year, the debate around voting processes and voter rights continues to be a focal point in the political landscape. AFC clinging to PNC for support at 2025 elections, Jagdeo. Newsroom. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo has suggested that the Alliance for Change, AFC, is relying on the People's National Congress, PNC, to secure some level of support in the upcoming elections. His comments came during a weekly press conference at Freedom House, the headquarters of the People's Progressive Party Civic, PPP/C. Jagdeo noted ongoing coalition discussions between the AFC and the A Partnership for National Unity, APNU, with the PNC being the major party within that coalition. He remarked, "These two parties are on life support themselves, especially the AFC. I think this is an attempt to cling on to the PNC to get some modicum of support at the next polls." The AFC and APNU are currently exploring the possibility of re-establishing a coalition ahead of the 2025 general and regional elections. Both parties have appointed negotiators for talks expected to conclude by March 31st. However, AFC party leader Nigel Hughes has publicly stated that the partnership is on life support. The two parties previously formed a coalition that successfully contested the 2015 general and regional elections, but they lost to the PPP/C in the 2020 elections. Following that defeat, the AFC did not renew their coalition pact, although both APNU and AFC parliamentarians continue to work together as the majority opposition in the National Assembly. Jagdeo also highlighted intriguing developments regarding potential presidential candidates should the coalition materialize. He suggested that Hughes is attempting to position himself as a frontrunner for the presidential nomination, while opposition leader Aubrey Norton insists he should be the candidate. At a recent press conference, Hughes indicated that it is not guaranteed that Norton would automatically become the presidential candidate if a coalition were to form. He emphasized the need for a structured process, driven by polling and other mechanisms, to identify leadership within the coalition. The political landscape continues to shift as both parties navigate their strategies leading up to the elections. Child shooting victim showing slow signs of recovery. Guyana Times. 6-year-old Jeremiah Gustav, who suffered a life-altering gunshot wound to the head, was back in a hospital on New Year's Day for emergency surgery. His mother, Keisha Gustav, provided an update on his condition during a court hearing on Wednesday at the Georgetown Magistrates' Courts. Jeremiah had undergone surgery for the installation of a ventriculoperitoneal (VP) shunt, a device used to drain excess fluid from the brain. However, complications arose, requiring him to be readmitted for another procedure when the shunt began to protrude. He was discharged 10 days later but is showing slow signs of recovery. During the hearing, Chief Magistrate A.G. Faith McGusty allowed Gustav to speak about her son's fragile state. She shared, "The VP shunt helps to stop the fluid from building up in his brain, but after the surgery, it's still been slow. He's starting to make small movements with his toes and head, but still can't speak. His eyes are open and he is aware that we are around, but he can't speak and he stiffens his legs when you try to lift him." Jeremiah, a student at Smith's Memorial Primary School, is currently out of class and undergoing physical therapy to aid his recovery. Experts emphasize that therapy will be crucial in helping him regain motor skills and rebuild neural pathways affected by the injury. The process has been financially draining for his mother. "You have to take taxis everywhere with him, and everything adds up, whether it's therapy sessions, medical supplies, or just moving around. It's very costly, she explained, noting her unsuccessful attempts to secure financial assistance. Next Wednesday will mark Jeremiah's 7th birthday, a bittersweet occasion for his mother. It's hard seeing him like this, especially now that it will be his birthday, but I'm just thankful he's still alive, she said, fighting back tears. The shooting occurred on July 9, 2024, when Jeremiah was sitting at his mother's food stall on Charles Street, Charlestown. An altercation nearby escalated into gunfire, resulting in Jeremiah being struck in the head. He was rushed to Georgetown Public Hospital for life-saving surgery and has since undergone multiple procedures. Initially, 2 men were charged in connection with the shooting: Odell Garnett, also known as Crab, and Marlon Wilberg, known as Mice Man. However, the case against Wilberg was withdrawn in October 2024 by the Director of Public Prosecutions, with no explanation provided. During Wednesday's proceedings, it was announced that surveillance footage of the incident will be presented at the next hearing, scheduled for January 24th. Garnett, charged with attempted murder, remains in police custody as the case unfolds. Schoolboys suspended over bullying and fighting at Westminster School. Kaider News. A 13-year-old boy has reported that he was cornered and beaten by 2 schoolmates in the washroom of Westminster Secondary School last week, following a week of being bullied. The incident occurred on Friday, January 17, 2025, between 12:30 p.m. and 1 p.m. The boy described enduring bullying from older classmates, stating, "For the week I experienced bullying and touching. Like he, the bully, came up to me and touched me on my leg inappropriately." Fed up with the situation, he decided to confront his bully, but when he entered the washroom, he was followed by 2 boys who attacked him. During the fight, the teen sustained severe injuries to his right eye. Then after a boy opened the washroom door, I ran out and went to the office, sitting down with a teacher to assist me, he recounted. His mother was called to the school and subsequently took him to the hospital for treatment. The boy's mother expressed her anger upon seeing her son's injuries and criticized the school's handling of the situation, particularly their failure to seek medical attention promptly. She visited the Ministry of Education's office in Vrien-en-Hoop to lodge a formal complaint about the incident. Following the complaint, personnel from the Ministry of Education visited the school to investigate. Both the victim and one of the attackers have since been suspended. It was also noted that the attacker's parents would cover half of the medical expenses for the boy's treatment. "I want the Education Ministry to look into it so it wouldn't affect anybody else's children," the mother stated. "I just want them to implement measures, like having a police outpost to monitor the school and address bullying and gang-related issues." In a separate incident, 14-year-old Kelvin Fraser, a student at West Demerara Secondary, was reportedly beaten by a group of 17 boys in a school washroom. He suffered facial injuries and was allegedly threatened by the attackers to lie about the incident, claiming he fell and hit his head. The Ministry of Education's Welfare Department is currently investigating these incidents as concerns around bullying in schools continue to rise. No bail for Venezuelans charged with attempted murder of cop. Chief Magistrate, Acting, Faith McGusty denied bail on Wednesday to 4 Venezuelan nationals charged with the attempted murder of a police officer. The accused, Victoria La Cruz, Gabriel Campos, Lilbeth Velasquez, and Jesus Hure, were charged following a violent incident at Stabroek Market on November 23, 2024. During the altercation, Police Constable Nathaniel Giddings intervened in a brawl between 2 women, only to be brutally stabbed. Reports indicate that one of the women attacked Giddings with a broken bottle and a knife, inflicting multiple stab wounds to his body and neck. Chaos ensued, with 2 male suspects joining the attack. In a desperate attempt to regain control, Giddings fired warning shots into the air before being rushed to Georgetown Public Hospital, where he remains in critical condition. During the melee, 2 suspects also sustained injuries and required medical attention. Following the incident, police arrested 6 individuals, including the 4 charged Venezuelans. Investigations revealed that the suspects had reportedly turned on each other amidst the chaos. In court, the lawyer for the accused argued for bail, presenting a witness, Bibi Khan, who attested to knowing La Cruz and her alleged accomplices for over 5 years. However, the prosecution countered that this testimony did not sufficiently guarantee the defendants would attend future court hearings. The magistrate noted that during a prior hearing, only 2 of the accused had appeared virtually, raising concerns about flight risk. Consequently, she ruled in favor of the prosecution's objections, denying bail. The case has been adjourned to February 19, 2025, allowing police time to complete the case file, review closed-circuit television, CCTV footage, and seek guidance from the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. Notably, one of the initial 6 suspects, 28-year-old Luis La Cruz, died in police custody on November 29, 2024, after reportedly succumbing to a gunshot wound to the abdomen sustained during the altercation. His death has raised questions, as he was allegedly removed from a hospital while injured and placed in police lockups. Family members have since denied his involvement in the attack, suggesting he was caught in the chaos. The police have not yet issued a statement regarding the circumstances of Luis La Cruz's death or clarified his role in the incident. The remaining accused, Victoria La Cruz, Campos, Velasquez, and Hure, are expected to return to court next month as investigations continue. Pigeon-infested Charlestown school reopens. Kaider News. After a suspension of classes due to a severe pigeon infestation, Charlestown Secondary School has reopened, with a contingency plan in place to accommodate students. The Ministry of Education had responded to complaints from both students and teachers regarding the health hazards posed by the pigeons. Classes resumed on Wednesday, with grade 11 and grade 8 students attending in person, while other levels continued their studies online. A teacher, who requested anonymity, explained that classes are being held in the lower flat and the eastern section of the school where the science laboratories are. The ministry has carried out fumigation efforts to address the pigeon problem, but reports indicate that some pigeons remain. Additional measures are set to commence, including blocking all vents to prevent further entry of pigeons into the school building. The issue gained significant attention after an incident on January 3, 2025, when a pregnant cleaner was pecked in her left eye by a pigeon while on duty. Following this incident, she was placed on medical leave, underscoring the risks faced by both staff and students due to the infestation. Some teachers reported symptoms of illnesses linked to exposure to pigeon droppings. During a visit on January 14, 2025, Kaider News observed a large flock of pigeons around the school, with teachers and students standing outside due to the unsafe conditions inside. Long-standing complaints from staff about the pigeons overtaking several classrooms, particularly on the upper floors, were reiterated. Pigeon droppings and nests were prevalent, creating an unhygienic environment. Teacher Clifton Johnson noted that despite previous interventions, such as the installation of mesh barriers, the pigeon problem persists. This has been going on for years. It kept continuing, he remarked. Another teacher mentioned the health risks associated with the pigeons, particularly the spread of coccidiosis, a disease carried by the birds. Students also shared their experiences, recalling instances where pigeon droppings would end up on their desks and clothes, making the learning environment uncomfortable and unsanitary. As the school reopens, the Ministry of Education is expected to continue addressing the pigeon infestation to ensure a safe environment for all students and staff.